What if I told you that invading North Korea would probably be the most dangerous and unpredictable military operation the world has ever seen? I'm not just talking about logistical difficulty. I'm talking about a country that has spent decades preparing specifically for that exact moment. A country that built its entire existence around one obsession, making any invasion the most expensive nightmare in history. So, someone decides to invade North Korea. What would happen? Let's go through it step by step. Subscribe to the channel. We post this kind of analysis every week, and don't forget to leave a like. North Korea is not just an authoritarian country with an eccentric leader and missiles in the news. It is the most closed, most militarized, and most prepared for conflict regime in all of modern history. A country where everything, the economy, the culture, the education, the architecture of the cities, was built around a single obsession: surviving an American invasion. Since 1953, the regime has never stopped preparing. While other countries were building civilian infrastructure, North Korea was digging, literally. Thousands of kilometers of underground tunnels at depths that conventional bombs cannot reach. More than 1 million active soldiers, nuclear arsenal, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and an entire population indoctrinated since birth to believe that dying while defending the regime is the greatest possible honor. Invading this country is not like invading Iraq or Afghanistan. It is a completely different category of problem. Before the invasion begins, understand the board. Seoul, with 10 million inhabitants, is less than 60 kilometers from the northern border. North Korea currently has more than 10,000 artillery pieces aimed at it. China has had a mutual defense treaty with Pyongyang since 1961. And Russia signed a new mutual assistance pact with Kim Jong-un in 2024. That is the board. Now let's look at what happens when someone moves the first piece. The invasion begins, let's say it is a coalition led by the United States, with South Korea, logistical support from Japan, and possibly other allies. The stated objective is to neutralize Kim Jong-un's regime, destroy the nuclear arsenal, and reunify the peninsula. In the first hours, the North Korean response would be immediate and brutal. Seoul would be the first target, not because it is the most strategic target, but because it is the most painful one. 300,000 artillery shells per hour raining down on the city. Missiles launched against American bases in Japan and South Korea. 10 million people with only minutes to reach shelters. Estimates for civilian casualties in the first 24 hours range from hundreds of thousands to more than 1 million people. That number is not an exaggeration. It is what Pentagon analysts have already calculated. While Seoul is being bombarded, something even more sinister would be happening underground. North Korea has an underground tunnel network that is probably the most extensive and sophisticated in the world. Some of these tunnels were designed to transport troops and heavy equipment directly south of the border. Over the years, South Korea discovered 4 of these tunnels, but it is believed that dozens still remain undiscovered. That means that while the battle is happening on the surface, North Korean forces could be emerging behind enemy lines, creating chaos, cutting supply lines, attacking command centers, and causing casualties in places nobody would expect to become combat zones. Then comes the most dangerous moment. North Korea's nuclear doctrine is clear. The regime would not wait to be destroyed before using its weapons. A large-scale invasion fits perfectly into the category of an existential threat. The arsenal is spread across underground facilities that American intelligence does not know the exact locations of. You cannot destroy what you cannot find. And this is where we reach the factor that turns a regional conflict into a global problem. China would not stand by and watch an invasion of North Korea unfold. Not out of love for Kim Jong-un's regime. Beijing has a complicated and often frustrating relationship with Pyongyang, but out of pure strategic interest. Having American troops on China's border is a red line. Beijing has repeatedly stated it would not accept. It was that same red line that led China to send 300,000 soldiers into the Korean War in 1950, saving the North Korean regime from what would have been a certain defeat. In a modern invasion, China would probably not send combat troops immediately. The initial response would likely be more sophisticated: maximum diplomatic pressure, economic threats against the United States, possible covert supplies of intelligence and equipment to North Korean forces, and military mobilization along the border, creating the threat of intervention without necessarily carrying it out right away. But if Allied forces advance northward, toward the Yalu River, which marks the border between North Korea and China, the likelihood of direct Chinese intervention would become extremely high. exactly as it did in 1950. In the end, invading North Korea solves one problem by creating 10 others. Nobody has invaded not because of a lack of capability, but because the cost is simply too high. North Korea survived for decades not because it is strong. It survived because it made the cost of bringing it down unbearable, and that is its greatest advantage. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel.